Welcome to the Exploring New England podcast with Ryan Zipp, where each week I will be talking about what makes this historic region such an amazing place to enjoy. From the scenic views to road trip ideas to where to grab the best eats and much more. Let's get going. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Exploring New England with me, Ryan Zipp. This week we are hitting unlucky number 13. For those of you that are superstitious, I am not. So unless one of my cameras blows up during this 13th episode, I think I'll be all right, and I'll still keep going with not minding numbers like 13 and such. So so we are in what I feel like is always a bit of a kind of transition stretch here, because after Memorial Day it starts feeling like summer but isn't officially summer till June 20th, I believe, which will be next Thursday, a week from when you are listening and watching this. So some stuff feels like summer, but yet we're not quite there. And with all the lupine chasing I've been doing, that's always like a weird spring-y, early summer type vibe for me. I've never really known where to categorize it. I guess more spring still, but it does happen in June, so wherever it ends up, that works for me. So as far as locally for me in Connecticut, besides running my store for a good chunk of the week, I had my family of eastern bluebirds here in my yard. The babies left the box, I think about 10 days ago. So there was at least 4 of them. I know at least 4 got out. There was 5 eggs originally. I'm just not sure. It was hard to count them once they got bigger inside the box. But so it was exciting to see a family of bluebirds kind of enter the world. And the parents have been grabbing worms and bringing them high up in the trees for them. I've gotten a few glimpses at the young ones, but hopefully in the next few days they'll make their way down a little lower so I can see them a bit. And hopefully the parents do another batch, another nesting, which they typically do. So it'll be fun to watch them go through it again. I've developed a relationship with them. The male, the dad, there's a big problem with house sparrows. They're an invasive species around here, and they can be bullies to the point of actually taking out and killing bluebirds inside the box. And I had one I was trying to keep away, and he was super aggressive, and he had the male bluebird pinned in there, and luckily I happened to go out to just check on it, and I got there and he was not moving inside the box, and I got all emotional and immediately thought the sparrow had kind of gotten him. But luckily I got there in time, and he was just kind of super tired and didn't end up having any damage. I brought him to a local rehabber. She was awesome and checked him out and said luckily, nothing happened. So I was able to bring him back. I opened the shoebox. I let him go immediately. He kind of sang, made a little bit of a call, and the female met him immediately up in a tree. So it was a cool moment. I was glad I was able to be there right time and, make sure he was okay. I was able to trap that sparrow and drive it 25 miles away to a McDonald's parking lot to, so now it could eat and be fine there, but not killing my bluebirds. So a little bit of a kind of morbid, but also good story. So that's exciting. There's a lot of other, birds nesting, and just another thing that's very spring, early summer vibe with the birds nesting here in Connecticut. Had a really cool night last Friday here in the Stony Creek neighborhood of Branford, which is town next to Guilford where I live, and that area has become one of my favorites just all around, not just local, but great sunset spot. So I headed over there to kind of post up and just enjoy a beautiful summer evening and grab a pizza from Stony Creek Market over there. Great people, really nice owners, and they have some good food. And want to say Thursday through Saturday nights. They do pizza, and it's usually really busy. They have tables outside, inside, get them to go. So I usually end up just grabbing it to go, walking down a little, and just sitting by the water and enjoying it before the sun would set. This week I went with a mashed potato bacon pie, white pie, and it was really good. Of course, had to grab a Fox and Park with it. If the spot doesn't have the Fox and Park here, it's not really a quality pizza in the New Haven area. So that's like one of the official marks we always look for. But yeah, so I was enjoying the pizza, and it was crazy. There was some real weird like lighting because the sun was still out where it was kind of lowering the sky, but behind it was this kind of dark, ominous kind of cloud. So it was a cool vibe. And as I sat down and I was eating, that dark cloud kind of made its way out over the water. And at one point, it was like this wild looking, like vortex looking cloud, like something really crazy could start happening. So that's when I put the pizza down and took my actual camera out and began taking some shots. And forget how long the time frame, but as the sun was dipping behind the clouds, at first I thought it would kind of suppress it and not be anything, but just the way it ended up layering with everything, the sun just started kind of glowing, this like fireball, and then started lighting up different parts of the clouds, and ended up being a really amazing sunset there. And almost like immediately as the sun went down, this crazy wind kicked in, and I could see it. The water went from calm to all choppy, and then literally like kind of like pushed me back. I wasn't expecting it. And some people that have been sitting nearby just started like heading to their cars, and I immediately like just kind of stood my ground and kept firing away because I wasn't sure what kind of cool conditions I might be able to capture. But it's a killer sunset. It's definitely some eerie, like weird storm kind of vibes. It never actually rained though. But yeah, so if you are listening, you won't be able to see, but if you're watching on the YouTube video version, I'll have photos, I think it's this side, of that night and just kind of what I was seeing and capturing with my camera and camera phone and such. So yeah, so it was a good week. Locally, store was busy, had the birds hatch out, visited the local favorite spot of mine, some good pizza and some great photo conditions. And last week I talked about how my next adventure was going to be heading up to Maine, and I ended up doing that. So give a little recap of the trip there, and I'd say overall it was a success. So Saturday, headed up kind of later afternoon after working at the store, and it's probably about a 4-ish hour drive to the part I was heading. Midcoast Maine is kind of, I guess, the area technically north of Portland it starts. I forget where it starts exactly. That's where I think of it. Going up to, the coast, and again, can't remember technically where they say it ends. Turns into Down East Maine when you get more north and up to like Acadia and that area. But I kind of consider it, north of Portland to like the Rockland, Camden area, a little north of that. I guess I'll have to look up where they technically have the cutoff, but that general area is one of my favorites anywhere in New England, any time of year really. It's a little bit less touristy in most of the parts than the southern coast, which I also enjoy, but just a little bit different vibe, and lots of working harbors, so great, spots to just relax and enjoy the views, but also photo opportunities, plenty of lighthouses. And on this trip, was looking for some fields of those lupine flowers. And so I got up there just in time. It was probably when I got off more main roads, just about an hour before sunset. And I had seen, as I was going down Route 1, little flashes of a rainbow off and on. And then I kind of got closer to my, my destination for the moment. And the rainbow got real vivid. So got off and I was in Newcastle, town of Newcastle. And luckily I was able to pull in to like an empty parking lot and get to a spot where I had a view of the rainbow with like this little kind of shack and some boats. a tree line in the background. So I was happy I was actually able to get a few shots of it. A lot of times it's like the worst feeling in the world when you're like driving for anything like a sunset or a rainbow or something awesome's happening and you just can't pull over. There's just no spots that are photo worthy, and you're just like, it's just driving you insane. You're getting this like stressful anxiety because the conditions are perfect, but you just don't have anywhere to stop and shoot. So luckily I got that. So it was like a great welcome to Maine, was this, incredible rainbow and a shootable scene. And then I drove a little bit down the road. I met up with my buddy Jack from Boston, who I think I've mentioned on a few of these podcasts, good friend of mine, and he was up there for a few days before I got there. So luckily we crossed paths. So we met up in that area and shot a little bit. And it was like we had some really cool opposite sky lighting and clouds that night. The sky actually where the sun was setting was like, there was really nothing going on at all. But on the opposite side, some clouds were holding a little bit of the color in. And had some real calm water there for some reflection scenes in this harbor with a number of boats and pretty good lupine scene to kick off my visit up there for this one. And afterwards, we checked out a place I had never been before. I think it's in Newcastle. It's called the Shuck Station Raw Bar. It was really cool. All outside seating. And per the name, they have like a raw bar options. I went with a lobster grilled cheese. I knew I'd be having some rolls the next couple of days, so I didn't want to kind of hop right into it, and settled in with that and had a spicy marg. It was good. Grilled cheese was excellent as well. So it was good to catch up with him. He would be heading back the next day, and I'd be staying then, so our schedules didn't exactly line up, but always good to catch up in person, and definitely check out his work if you're not already following him. Jack Darrell Photography is his handle on Instagram, based out of Boston, and he shoots all over New England, but especially always great Boston ideas and what's going on there if you're ever looking to head into the city. So ended up staying in this little inn there just south of Newcastle, called the Hawks House Inn. Cool spot. Checked in late, just like key was ready there and clean, nice room, and right in that general Bristol area, Pemaquid, where the lighthouse, Pemaquid Point Lighthouse, is at the tip of it. So cool area to stay, and it was a good spot to kind of jump to wherever I wanted to go. Sunday, unfortunately, first half of the day was like dreary and rainy, but it wasn't raining hard enough to really stop me from doing anything at all. But kind of just did a lot of driving around, and I kind of like some of those scenes sometimes, as long as the clouds have some definition and depth to them. When you get those clouds that are just like that gray white solid with nothing to them, that's kind of when it's tough, because it's just there's just no drama to it. It's just flat, so it's tough. But it was kind of on and off rain when it was going on, so decided to take the drive up. I hadn't planned on going as far north as Rockland, but because the weather conditions, I figured why not. It was like 40-minute drive or so from where I was, so headed up there to Rock City Cafe, and they have one of my favorite iced lattes anywhere in New England. It's called the Maine Morning, and it's blueberry and Maine maple syrup in the latte. So delicious, and also was very fitting because it was a very dreary Maine coastal morning as far as the vibes. So grabbed that and a egg and cheese on a croissant, and then I drove down to the harbor right down the road, right across from the 250 Maine Hotel, which I stayed at a number of times. They've always been very inviting and hosting me there. Really great spot if you're looking to stay in that Rockland area. I would check that out. But enjoyed my coffee, ate breakfast there, and then decided to head over to Owl's Head, little spot next to Rockland. town area, and they have a lighthouse. I didn't head out to it there because it was raining, but there's a nice patch of lupine there on the opposite side facing the water. One little patch on the side with the boats and harbor in the background. So I took a few shots there. I've shot that one before, but a little different lighting conditions this time and clouds. Last time I was there, it was full sun or fog. So I guess I have 3 different conditions now from that spot. But they were looking really nice there, like peak. So timing couldn't have worked out any better as far as, the flowers themselves, as far as going up. Definitely an earlier bloom than usual, than the last few years from what we've seen we were talking about. But, every year is different, but it seems like a lot of the stuff was blooming slightly early this year. So not sure if that's just a one-off or just something that moving forward we'll have to assume that stuff will just be a little earlier than in years past. So we'll have to adjust either way. But after that, I headed over to another really noteworthy spot that a lot of people go, also because it was in Forrest Gump. It's the lighthouse that he runs to quickly when he's running across the country, and he's in Maine. And that's the Marshall Point Lighthouse over there as well in Midcoast, Maine. And it's always a cool spot there. I've shot, Milky Way over there, sunrises, sunsets. Just a great area overall, rocky coastline like to the left, and obviously the lighthouse with the iconic like walkway there. And I don't know exactly, a lot of stuff got damaged up there in these storms and, flooding earlier this year that was just awful for a lot of coastal Maine. I'm not sure if that's when something happened there, but there was some damage out, and they had a blocked off with signs. You can walk down it till the end. So I'm not quite sure. I can only guess that something happened during one of those storms, but I'm not positive. And hopefully, whatever it is, they'll get patched up soon. And they have like a little kind of museum and gift shop there that was open as well. So check it out if you haven't been there yet. It's a worthwhile stop. I didn't stop there this time, but probably my favorite lobster roll in Maine and anywhere is at McLoon's, and that's in South Thomaston, which isn't too far from where Marshall Point is and that area. So if you're into lobster rolls and you ever get to, in this area, I highly recommend McLoon's to stop in. But I didn't this time. It was raining too, and I didn't feel like sitting outside in the rain. And then I actually did instead, because I've had that one probably 3-4 times now, figured I'd check out a new one. I like checking out, new spots that I've heard are really good as well. I guess that's a struggle with food and just where to go is always like, do I go back to an old favorite or do I try something new? And it's tough. It's tough. So I like to do a balance of both, and I feel like I did that on this trip. But the new spot I checked out was over in Friendship, and that's called Jameson Point Lobster. And that was a cool spot. Lobster roll was great. It's kind of like almost like an old time, like they had all like road signs and different things inside. Everybody was really friendly there. Had a Arnold Palmer drink to go with the lobster roll. But fresh, prepared well, very good. So another one to look out for if you're a lobster roll fan. I'm kind of need to organize all my different reviews and where I kind of rank everything as far as lobster rolls in Maine and everywhere in New England. So I'll be doing that the next couple weeks as we get into summer and sharing on all my socials. And I guess I'll do a little feature on here as well in the coming weeks. So, yeah, it was funny at that point. I kind of didn't really know exactly where I was going to stay that night. I knew somewhere in the area. I was kind of almost seeing where if I came across anything or any certain conditions were going to make me want to be anywhere for like sunset. But I ended up getting a room in Boothbay Harbor last minute at the Fisherman's Wharf Inn, kind of like one of those classic old school spots right there on the harbor in Boothbay Harbor. And I was able to snag a room with like a little deck patio with the view, like the iconic view of the harbor there. And it wasn't that bad price-wise because it was a Sunday and still not into their like more peak summer season. So again, like I've stressed a few times before, there are ways to stay in these awesome coastal spots at nice hotels. I'm sorry, with great views for like way less than the upcoming months. So I took advantage of that as well and checked in, then drove around to a bunch of spots in the area that I always enjoy. Um, Hendricks Head Lighthouse. It's like a little beach area there you can go to and park. You can't actually get out to the lighthouse. That part's private. That's always a cool spot. Drove all around Southport, and then a few roadside lupin there. Jack had given me the heads up because he had found them previously. It just gets tough. Some spots you find they're great, but there's like nowhere to park or pull over. So that's always a hindrance in trying to capture these images. So got a few shots there. It's just nice to add to the collection, more from different towns and different scenes. So did that, and then was kind of keeping an eye out for sunset, but then it was just not happening, which, wasn't the end of the world. I got some great light the night before, so wasn't too bummed about it. And it was kind of a blessing because all the the kitchens were all closing like 8:30, so I'm not sure what I would have eaten if I stayed out shooting kind of later. I think there was one spot with like late night pizza. But ended up over at a spot called Mine Oyster, and that was like right there downtown in the harbor, right near where I was staying. Had a crab quesadilla. It was good. And kind of right from I was sitting at the bar, you can look over and see the footbridge there with the little bridge house. It's kind of like, again, really iconic view of Boothbay Harbor over there. So that was a great spot just to eat, have a drink, enjoy the end of the day. And then after dark, I walked down the footbridge and just kind of stood there and right by that old bridge house. And it was cool because I could hear these loons calling in the background. So just like stood out there for like 10, 15 minutes enjoying that. And that's the great part about staying, when you can stay in like right downtown in some of these areas. You're just able to walk to spots and not have to worry about, driving anywhere, which I enjoy doing. And the next morning, so Monday morning, it was actually just totally clear. So wasn't in any rush. I knew the lighting, this time of year it gets harsh by like before 8 a.m. It's already harsh for shooting. So I walked across from where I was staying, Red Cup Coffee Shop, grabbed an iced mocha there, and just had a slow morning. And it was nice to do that sometimes. I like to get up for sunrise if it fits the bill and it looks like it's going to work out. But I also do enjoy relaxing a little and slowing things down. So that's what I did, and wanted to enjoy the little patio and the view of the water until had to check out at 10 a.m. So that was good. I was kind of looking for a different path to check out because there was, a really beautiful large lupin field in Whitefield, Maine, which is inland a bit from this area. So when I was like making a route to make my way back down, I headed up kind of towards that way a bit, a little inland more, and then a more rural route, I guess you could say, than the Route 1 or more coastal options. So I ended up taking that down and ended up seeing some good patches of the flowers, but just nothing, again, that had like a composition scene worth pulling over for. And some spots just wasn't easy to pull over anyway. But it was just some good cruising. The weather was beautiful. Wasn't great for shooting, so windows down, sunroof open, music playing. So it was nice to make my way down. And then I did make a stop in Freeport, which, if you're driving through at any time and you have time, if it's not your destination, that's where the, mothership LL Bean location is. So I, unless I'm have to be somewhere at a certain time, it's nice to pop in. And I actually had a pair of jeans I bought up there on a trip in fall of 2020. They just ripped on me, after wear, not even anything crazy, and wasn't sure, but went up, but they took a look and ended up like giving me full credit back, and went and like was able to get a replacement pair. So I guess, I've heard some mixed things about their customer service these days, but from what I saw, they were their business as usual, taking care of you for buying their product. So a little LL Bean positive report, I guess you could say. Just cool to walk around. That's all I ended up picking up, but There's a lobster roll spot found there on a trip in 2020 randomly called Cindy's, and that's like right on the main drag there in Freeport, down a bit from LL Bean, but not like on the coast or anything. And very good lobster roll. And I'd only had it that time, so I was glad that had it again, and it was just as good, if not better, than the first time. So cool to find a spot that isn't one of these ones that they put on every list, and you can kind of find it on your own, and ends up being a go-to. Picked up a shirt to support and to wear and rock, and probably wear it on one of the future episodes. And then I ended up rooting down through Yarmouth and Falmouth. So that was some beautiful, driving through there. You're kind of just a little bit away from the coast. And then it was got to the point I was decided just to kind of head home, so I'd make it home before too late. It was 3.5 hour drive or so from there. So it was a great trip. Got some shots. I'm still kind of going through them now, but was able to revisit some old spots, find some new patches of the lupine flowers, and just overall a great Maine visit. I hadn't been up there since March, and I was just in the Portland area. So this area north of there, can't remember the last time I was there, but it's been a while. So that was great. And now we're 1 week away from summer. Like I said in a previous episode, the Keechee Hot Air Balloon Festival is this weekend up near Woodstock, Vermont, the 15th through the 17th. So check that out. That was a great visit last year, and I finally got some photos. Also, most of the lupine were at peak, if not starting to turn. But if you'd wanted to check any out this for this year, for this season, I would get out there this weekend, and you might still find some, looking okay in different spots around New England. But they definitely peaked earlier than usual. So definitely last call for a lupine this weekend. So after you're hearing this, get out. If not, you're gonna have to wait again until beginning of June next year. And we definitely, the hydrangeas are starting to bloom. My yard, they seem to be blooming earlier than usual here in coastal Connecticut. So I'm feeling like they're going to be out a little on the earlier side. I've shot them, on the Cape and other areas, like kind of the last few days in June. Then typically, they peak usually more first week of July, but not sure how long they'll last. But I think they'll be out a little earlier. So again, I wouldn't wait, very end of June, the first week of July if you're going to do that. So I'll try to come up with some ideas of spots for that coming up. The rose blooms, I'll talk about some spots, and 4th of July festivities, so maybe just give some ideas. And this weekend I'm kind of undecided what I'm going to do yet. It's kind of hard. It's nice to just stay local and take a breather from traveling, but then at the same time I, get antsy. So we'll see what ends up happening. So tune in next week. Follow me on Instagram at Ryan Zipp. I'm sure most of you already are. And hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode coming along with me. And this was episode Unlucky 13, I guess. But I shall see you guys next Thursday, and 1 week away from summer. So I hope you guys are planning your summer trips, and hopefully you've been getting some ideas from me. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure to thumbs up, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you next week.